What's going on, world? It's your boy at Big Game James _36 again. I'm trying to put out this tweet real quick. $100 cash app. My bad. All right. What we're gonna do is this right here. Keep it real simple to start it off with. We tried this last week. It didn't work. Sorry about missing Monday, man. I was sick as hell on Monday, man. I don't know what I ate or what happened. Hard living catching up to me a little bit. But if we get over 1,000 views on the Periscope, 1,000 views on the Facebook Live, 1,000 views on the YouTube page. That's $100 each one of those. If we get 100 eyes watching us between all three of them, $100 cash app. So just make sure you and I'll even do it the same thing as on the SoundCloud, those different things. But just if you put in the comments what your cash app is, your Venmo or whatever it is, boom, Big Games got you. Give you a little tax reprieve or a little gas reprieve in today's. Share it, like it, retweet it. This is something that we all need to do. And each show that does this from a little bit, I'm gonna take a little bit of the advertiser cap. Basically, what is it called? Not a refund check. It's basically what Biden did for y'all, Obama did for you. I think 4-5 did it. Basically, this is me giving back to the people for y'all supporting stimulus. That's it. The big games, the big stimmy. That's what y'all gonna call me. So if you get your friends to tune in, check me out. Hey, we all get a chance to benefit. Y'all go out there and run and say, hey, Big Game out here giving money, making it rain. Well, I can't really make it rain, but I can make it hail with the best of them. So just check that out. Lots been going on in the world lately. I'm going to try to keep things together as much as I can. It's a quote one of my favorite rappers, Nevadius Demond Wilburn, aka Future. It's an evil world that we live in, man, and it's a lot of things that's going on, a lot of stuff that's happening, in particular in the sports world. One of the things I want to start off with, and this might be a hour long 8 o'clock or however long the show goes, because I'm going to start off with, I made a tweet a couple weeks ago. I think 2 weeks to be exact. And my tweet was that I enjoy playoff hockey way more than I enjoy playoff basketball. And boy, when I tell you, I got roasted, you would have thought that I was no longer colored. I wasn't black. I wasn't any of these damn things. But I made that statement while I was watching goddamn playoff hockey. And it was exciting. There's fights. There's violence. There's something that goes on every second during the NHL playoffs. And it's competitive for the most part. What I don't like watching is teams trading blowouts. And that's what the NBA playoffs is. I already hate those light-skinned Devils and Golden State with the ugly donkey from Shrek looking motherfucker. What's his name? Draymond Green. Looks like the shit in my nightmares. But anyways, and I don't really hate Steph Curry and Clay. I like the joke, but like I don't believe they're that good. I mean, not that they're not good. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. I don't believe you can be that good without selling your soul to the devil. I'm sorry. Like, that's just, it doesn't make sense. The 3-pointers that they're able to shoot with the ease and accuracy makes absolutely no sense. And you can say that's James, you're hating, and you know what? I'm gonna agree with you. Multiple things could be true at the same time. I'm a hating ass motherfucker. But them motherfuckers are light-skinned devils too. So like that's all I'm saying. But like, when I see teams like the Miami Heat, they're going back and forth with the Boston Celtics. I don't have a dog in the fight. But what I do want to watch when I'm watching the top 1%, the pinnacle of the sport, if you will, compete against each other, I should not see a 30-point blowout on Monday, then a 20-point blowout the other way. It should be close. Like the game should be in. And I don't know what's to explain about it. If the players are just soft and they quit. And I don't want my son watching this shit. Because I don't want my son thinking that, oh, well, we're getting beat and we're not going to come back. So let's just get our asses whipped and get this over with. I honestly don't like that frame of thought. I think you should have to compete. And if I pay all that money for tickets for playoff basketball or whatever, I expect to be entertained. And I'm just sorry. I don't know what you people look at or how you guys view this shit, but it's not entertaining at all. It is not entertaining at all. The only entertaining thing is my group chats. Is in my group chat, we've got guys who are Boston Celtics fans. It's like half of them Boston Celtics fans, and the other half are Miami Heat fans. And they're going back and forth at each other. And I won't lie, the digs are amazing. Like the chat is hopping. And again, I talk about my boy Dibby a lot. Respect Dibby. Dibby's a great father, great might be a great granddad. Nobody really knows how old fucking Dibby is, but Dibby ain't young. But Dibby is from Pompano, so he's from down south. So I get why he's a Miami Heat fan. I don't necessarily get why the other guys are Boston Celtics fans, because none of the motherfuckers are from Boston. They're all from Florida, and maybe they fell in love when they did the original Big Three went up there. But I'm not 100% sure. But I watch basketball through them. Jimmy Butler is like Dibby's guy. I think Jimmy Butler is personally a fake tough guy, but he's a good basketball player, and at least I can take some joy in the light skinned Devils beating the Dallas Mavericks, because I don't know why. I just as much as I joke about not liking Steph Curry, I really don't like. I think his name is Jokic or something like that. I just don't like him. He looks like he just looks like somebody I shouldn't care for. And maybe there's a little bit of I don't want to say racism, because I'm not that, but I don't know why I don't like him. But I don't my dislike for him is stronger than my dislike for Steph Curry, and my lack of understanding why Steph Curry can do the things that he can do, because the only way you could truly explain why Stephen Curry is able to do what he's doing is because he sold his soul to the devil. And I also don't like his wife. I think I've been really clear over the years and that's probably why I really dislike him, because I don't like his wife. Like, you know, to quote one of my favorite movies, The 40-Year-Old Virgin, your bitch is out of control, man. Like, you got to get her under control, man. Like, and I still to this day will never forgive her. Getting into football, which is what I really do, because I actually really could care less about basketball. But getting into football a little bit, training camp season is here, and so is the cape that many people who cover beat across the nation get to put on freshly from the dry cleaners, really aerated, and just people just love rocking this cape. And I don't understand why you guys like this cape, because, and here's why. You know what you go through every year. So I'm gonna start off with the Dolphins before I get into the Jags. And again, now the Dolphins coach, who I'm going to call Quarter Black. And James, why do you call him Quarter Black? Well, he's an offensive guy, which means he's probably in favor of the quarterback. But they're also trying to pawn Mike McDaniel off on me as a black coach. Mike McDaniel, I'm sorry, my great granddaddy looks like an Irishman, but you can see the black in him. And this man claimed black. It wasn't no hint. He married Big Mama. Big Mama was dark with red undertones. Like, Big Daddy liked black women. Big Daddy was a black man. Mike McDaniel, if that's not a that is like the to quote the Cat Williams movie. And I don't even know the name of this movie. I just know the scene when Mike McDaniel's mom brought him to his dad. He said, that there is a white baby, straight from the mountains of Caucasus. Like, that baby is not black. I'm sorry, that baby is not mine. But here's some things that he's doing that are starting to sway me over to. He might be half black. We might call him 50 Cent or something like that, because Quarter Black might not be fitted. I like his shoe game. He wears a different pair of Yeezys every press conference. I mean, his shoe game is mean. And bigger than that, this man is doing something that is near and dear to my heart. If you follow my show or follow me on social media at BigGameJames_36, I clearly lay out every week during football season the key to success with X's and O's. The key to success is this. If you want to win, you simply must give the ball to the goddamn fullback. It's real easy. We were a proper country when we utilized the fullback consistently in offense. We went to this spread offense. Men stopped learning how to change tires. Men stopped being men. We started having skinny jeans. I'm not gonna get into the thighs out, skies out because I got good thighs and I like my thighs being seen. But I'll say this: men stopped acting more masculine and started acting more feminine when we stopped using the goddamn fullback. That's all I'm going to say. But Mike McDaniels brought up something, and I ain't gonna lie, man. Like that shit got me on the side, bro. Like when he said, I want to read the I quote. Fullbacks can be pretty disruptive to defense not used to seeing them. Boy, hey, hey, Mike, you about to have me like my boy Dibby. And what I mean by that is, again, Dibby is a unapologetic everything Miami but the Hurricanes fan. Dibby thinks Xavier Howard is the greatest corner to ever play football, and Xavier Howard is ass. Like Xavier Howard, the only thing consistent about Xavier Howard is Xavier Howard will get burnt over and over again, and Dibby just don't give a shit about how much Xavier Howard is getting burnt, how much he's getting cooked. He's going to say silly shit like Xavier Howard is better than Jalen Ramsey, and he's going to pull up any obscure stat that he could do. If Mike McDaniel starts getting out there and starts giving the ball to the goddamn fullback like he should, like a proper masculine man should, you're going to start seeing me tell some elite lies for the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to say Xavier Howard's the greatest cornerback to ever lace him up, second to Deion Sanders. I'm going to say Tua's noodle arm is not because he's a check down shorty. It's because he is trying to win the game by doing what he's directed and coached to do, by giving the ball to the goddamn fullback. Because, again, that's what this is all about. That's how you win games. It's real strategic, real easy. You want to have 1,000+ yard running back? Get a goddamn fullback. You want to be able to these punk ass linebackers that are malnourished. You want to be able to light them up. Get a ball to the goddamn fullback. Like let them start running ISO on these guys. Start making them play physical as the game is getting more spread out. It's getting more sensitive, a little more sassy. You start bringing in a little bit of tougher component, and life gets better. So that's my take on basically being the beats for the Miami Dolphins. Like get a ball to the fullback, and the Coleman household will follow you. We will love you. We will admire you. Matter of fact, I'll tell you this, Mike. You get a ball to the goddamn fullback, I will treat my house like black grandmothers in the South. We'll have a picture of Black Jesus, a picture of Obama, and a picture of Mike McDaniel, the three most important black men in our lives. If you get a ball to the goddamn fullback, you will have us. Matter of fact, I'll give you a segment if you make sure the fullback gets an opportunity to score at least once a game. Because, again, as I suggest, we were a proper country here. And my bad, I started this thing off all wrong. This is the Sports Den, brought to you by thehumidor.com. Thehumidor.com is the go-to website for all things cigars. You can see it in the top right-hand corner of our show. Go to thehumidor.com. Spend over $150, you get free shipping. But even if you buy one cigar, if you type in Sports Den at checkout, you get 20% off. No matter what it is, if it's already discounted, you still get 20% off. You need cutters, you need lighters, you need humidifiers, you need a humidor. All these things are covered in the 20% off if you type in Sports Den at checkout. Also, if you don't buy them from there, there's only one place acceptable in America to buy your cigars. If it's not from thehumidor.com, that's Goodfellas Cigar Lounge. Goodfellas Cigar Lounge is where we host our show 3 days a week. It's also where we party like rock stars. Shout out to Goodfellas and Scott for hooking up the M.F.T.K Foundation. If you don't know what that is, it's Mentors for the Kids. It stands for something else too, which is going to be the subtopic for today's show, because it seems like everybody been the opposite of Mentors for the Kids the last few weeks. But They gave a generous donation from the last couple of weeks that we've had. I appreciate it. That's going toward our STEM camp. We have to raise $7,000 for our STEM camp, and we got to raise we want to give about 2,500 book bags out this school year, before this school year, and that's going to cost. That's a mid 5-figure check, a lot more than what I make in a year, or what a lot of people make in a year. But we're going to raise this, and we're going to do some good, positive impact for our communities. If you want to see more pictures, go to Mentor FTK on Twitter, IG, all those different things, or MFTKfoundation.com if you want to check out those things and what we've done in the past. But Jaguars Twitter, good night. How do I say, like, not Jaguars Twitter, because the fan base is dope. But I will say this: the people who cover the Jags, and in my few years in media, I've noticed this, is that a lot of people were upset about the station that I used to work at, right? And their coverage and how homerish it is. And what I learned is that everybody has comments and everybody has something to say until you get in a position of a little bit of authority and a little bit of power. And what I mean by that is you all turn homerish and you show your fandom cape shows through your suits. And what I mean by that is it's over the top in your enthusiasm. And there's nothing wrong with it. Like, this off season is about optimism. It's about projection. It's about having faith. But they're in OT. They're in mini camp. They're not even doing 11 on 11. They're doing drills on air. And I got people describing stuff like what you see right here. Like, oh my God, look at the vision. The vision of what? He's not running on it. There's nobody there. What the fuck are you seeing? Like, oh my God, do you see the way he's using his hands on the bag? It's a fucking bag. What is he supposed to do? Like, you could just describe, oh my goodness, Travis Etienne looks a little bit more fluid than a guy who's coming off of a Liz Frank injury. Trevor Lawrence in his dropbacks looks more confident. Man, this looks great, but like, oh, this offensive line looks like they're going to be road graders. Based on what? What tangible things are you seeing that makes you make these statements that you're making? We haven't seen anything yet. And I'm not here to tell you to be, downplay it or a lot of these different things, but like, let's not over exaggerate where we're at. And we have this weird affinity, this weird quirk, or what do you call it? A kink, if you will, to where we keep talking about, and I say we because I'm in the media, and I see this, and my son's a fan. I don't have a favorite NFL team. The only NFL team that I liked was the one that wrote me a check, and then they told me I wasn't any good. So they stopped writing me checks. So fuck the Saints. Hey, not seriously, Saints fans don't kill me. I'm just saying, fuck y'all. Not y'all, but like the Saints organization as a staff, all that stuff, like, because I don't get a check anymore. But when I read things like, our new running back, who is James Robinson, who is extremely talented, is exponentially better than Leonard Fournette. That reeks of bitter bitch complex. Like bitter X. Like, why the fuck are we even worried about what Lenny's doing? You know what Lenny ain't worried about? What the fuck we're doing here in Jacksonville. He's living his best life with the best quarterback to arguably play the game. He's got a Super Bowl ring. Same thing that Jalen has that we keep bringing up. Like your hate, your disdain for the brothers ain't gonna change their numbers. And that's a Jay-Z quote. Goddamn, there really is a Jay-Z quote for everything. But what I mean by that is, I saw somebody tweet this, and I asked, do you mean like a better value? Because I can't argue that. James Robinson, an undrafted free agent that put up 1,000-yard season and I believe an 800-yard season his sophomore year before he got hurt, is a better value at running back overall than the number 4 overall pick in the NFL draft, who gave you for 2 of the 3 years he was here over 1,000 yards. There is no arguing that. Now, if you say, and then the guys doubled down on it and said, no, I just think he's a better overall running back. And that's just simply not, we don't have a metric to measure that. Like, Leonard Fournette, statistically speaking, was a better running back than he ever was. And it's not a knock on James Robinson. It's just from catching out of the backfield to stats. Now, granted, Leonard Fournette, I called him wrong hole Lenny because he, as my position coach would say, he was a blind dog in the meat house sometimes. And he was going to force his way in that hole no matter what. But that doesn't mean that he's still not better than what you had. James Robinson does have better vision. I think he can be. I think it's a great compliment. Him and Travis Etienne could be like a thunder and lightning duo, especially when you put Travis Etienne, you put him back out on the field. Defenses have to kind of set up for 2 running backs, but you could put him on a linebacker as a mismatch with his speed and explosiveness, especially if he can maintain it. And James Robinson, again, is a patient runner, very good runner. But I look at Lenny's worst year, I think, when he had 1 touchdown here with Jacksonville. It wasn't because of his own fault. It was the play calling, and we all covered that. I remember that year. 2017 was really his coming out year. If you look at what happened when he was no longer in the game in 2017, you'll see that they had no respect for the running game at all. You got that, but even in his year where he was hurt, his second year, he still had just as many yards as James Robinson in fewer games as James Robinson's year last year, even though we would all admit that Urban Meyer kind of dicked him around before he eventually got hurt. And again, I think what a lot of times is what we fail to realize in media is that you can love the guys on your current roster without disrespecting or even mentioning your exes. See, what I learned in this game, and I'm not I hate the alpha male shit. I hate the red pill shit. I hate all of those different things. What I've learned in this game is that, simply put, if I'm over somebody, I don't mention that motherfucker no more. If there's nothing that we have in common anymore. So the problem is, and the reason why a lot of us in the media are still mentioning these guys who are clearly done and over with the Jacksonville Jaguars, is because they've all had better moments. And we're still living in 2017. But that hate in your heart ain't going to change the fact that we've been asked the last 2 years. It's not going to change the fact that we got consecutive number 1 overall picks. It's not going to change the fact that while having one of the easiest schedules in the NFL, we're still slated to still pick probably top 10. Learn how to be objective and still be a fan. There are guys who do this very, very well. I love them to death, but goddamn, like, the shit kind of gets annoying after a while. Sticking with the NFL and things that we probably don't really care about as Jacksonville Jaguar fans, considering that we don't have a lot of them, is the Pro Bowl. Pro Bowl is probably one of the worst sporting events in all sports. And it's an all-star. Most all-star games stink anyway. But what the MLB was able to do was they were able to at least make it have – they do theirs in the middle of the season. The team that wins gets the home field advantage. And that makes it a little bit more watchable. There's things like the home run derby. There are all-star things that people do that make you want to do it. The NBA, again, middle of the season, they still have things like, the rookies versus the sophomores game. You have things like the three-point shootout, things that used to be iconic when I was a young man, like the slam dunk competitions. Shit that used to actually mean stuff to people. They had those things so that during that week, it was kind of cool and dope to still tune in. I don't think anybody particularly cares about the Pro Bowl or if the Pro Bowl is even still played, because the best players don't get an opportunity to play in the Pro Bowl because the best players are on the Super Bowl contenders. And it's been you've been able to opt out of it for so long that it's like to get a Pro Bowl nod, like if you weren't the first team all pro, like it doesn't even make sense. It's still BS. So, you got to just kind of like ask yourself what the relevance is. I don't think it's been exciting since Sean Taylor laid out that punter. And guys aren't it's all the NFL game is already played for entertainment. It's already played treetop tall. It's already played non-physical. You know what? I would suggest going ahead and just making it flag football. Just make it a glorified flag football game, and maybe have a big man competition or whatever, and just let guys have at it with that. So that's my take on the NFL. Something that I think, hold on, something that I think that probably would make the Pro Bowl interesting is if we actually took fans from everyday experiences and taught them a little bit about coach them up a little bit and let them come out. There's nobody that I believe, no company that would have more employees a part of the Pro Bowl festivities than Best Buy. I don't know what Best Buy does in their security training, but god damn, over the last couple of years, they've been really goddamn good at this. Like, they had a young lady a few years ago that literally had great mirror technique. And if you put her as a guard, she would be dope. Then you had what just happened not too long ago, where people tried this snatch and grab shit, and you had a whole squad. Yeah, this is the young lady right here. Look at that. Look at how you got the video again up there? Yeah, okay, we're gonna break down this technique. Now, this was from a few years ago during quarantine, I believe. But like, she just got great technique. She sits there. Now this is showing her like push the guy down on the ground. But we got to go back. Yeah, go back to the beginning. Let's see here. Sorry for people. Like, yeah, she sees him. She cuts him off, shoots the hands, gets just enough forward lean with a violent punch. Like, that is like really, like, that is sexy. And then she drops him with the pancake to the ground, and Buddy's just, he's got to grab her by the shirt. Now, she's stocky. She is built like a Division I guard, and that's no knock on her, because that's like, listen, man, people try to bash big women. Big women having babies like studs, man. Like, they ain't going nowhere, dog. Like, I don't know who keeps getting studs pregnant. And for all these people who say they don't love big girls getting pregnant every day. But right now, I'm telling you, if we got one of our top offensive linemen, like, I think
she doesn't even have to use her palms.
She's using great technique. Ooh. What I think people got to do for the sake of humanity, right, is we got to breed people. Like, it's a waste of genes if this young lady isn't paired with a 6'4" to 6'6" former NFL offensive lineman, because she got 3 potential Pro Bowlers in her. I'm sorry, if you can't recognize that game, I don't know what to tell you. This is not me knocking or trying to pick on her. I'm seeing, matter of fact, if nobody is willing to step up to the plate and donate their genes for science and for the good of humanity, I am willing to take on that sacrifice, because I see an 18-year CD right there. And what does that mean for you? Certificate of deposit. I see millions of dollars, especially with name, image, and likeness and shit. Fuck yeah. Matter of fact, find me, baby. Hey, baby, let me find you. If you're willing to sacrifice your life and your body for shoplifters, God damn it, who knows what else you're about to do.
I believe Dana White had snatched her
up. Oh, okay. Well, see, businessman. But Best Buy also has a video that went viral where they had like some guys try to do a snatch and grab, and then everybody it was like they spread out. It was great zone offense. Like, in a zone scheme in offense, because again, this is me breaking down the X's and O's for you. This excites me. I should do this with football. But like, the zone scheme is not about pancake blocking people. It's about really step and seal. So like, the guys were literally they spread out, and they made sure that the thieves were not able to get out. And then there's one where the guy makes it's not a textbook form tackle, but it was great energy. My bad, it might have been an Apple store. It might have been, it was the Apple store. I apologize. I don't want to give Best Buy their props. Apple, again, phenomenal company. I own nothing but Macs because I'm a Mac. But the guy at the end, he tries to leave and he gets a great tackle. He stepped, as Coach Bowden would say, he steps on toes. His hands are violent and he gives a 6-inch punch. The only problem I have with him is where his head placement was. Your head's got to be on the right side of the ball. Like you can't have it here. You got to have it here. And that's to protect your neck as well as potentially get the fumble. So again, this is where I think the Pro Bowl would be way more interesting if we got these individuals some proper training and let them showcase their style and their skills. And I'll say, and right now this show is light. It's going to get heavier here as we go on because of the way things have gone on. But like, I really believe that this is how you make something that's very boring way, way more interesting, in my opinion.
I think he might have actually.
So it was Best Buy. This is it.
Yeah.
This is it. So we got the video. Sorry about that. If you're on SoundCloud, your ass needs to stop right now, go to YouTube, and check this out. These guys try to snatch and grab, which obviously they're not good at snatch and grab. But if you look, pause it real quick. Pause it, Miles.
I'm going to replay. That's where it is.
Oh, it's almost like Avengers Assemble. That's basically what happened. I don't know if a whistle was blown. I don't know what the fuck these people did. But all of a sudden, just boom, everybody converges. And if you look at my man, he's seated. Whoa. Hands are on the hips. Whoa. Feet are activated. I'm telling you, this is how they coach us to mirror block. If you're a running back right now and you want to know how you're supposed to pass block, this is it. Like, I don't know if we can't zoom in on it. Oh my God, his seat placement is perfect. Take away the inside, shoot the hands.
He even raises his pants.
And he is ready because what you can't have is baggy pants. And if you look at it, feet active. Lazy feet don't eat. Lazy feet don't eat. Activate the feet. But if you look behind him, if you get past him, he set it up to slow you down. But you got to get past the two defenders, and I think it's one guy behind him. They are running a 1-2-1 zone. If you're in basketball, that is very different. Like you cannot tell me that was just natural and that's not coached.
He took our way to outside.
It's to tell people one of the philosophies in football that you learn in life. There's one of two things are always happening. You're either coaching it or you're allowing it. And this is clearly being coached to not allow snatch and grabs. I love it. Get these guys into the Pro Bowl. I'll watch that shit. It's on and popping. Matter of fact, I need a couple of these guys to be signed to Florida State. I think the secret to our success is to do a recruiting outside the box. Look up this shit. Like, look up these cats, man. Oh, man, that's got me in stitches a little bit, man. It's all. But anyways, man, all things being equal, and let's get to the theme of today's show. And that's, if you can't see my hat right here, my bad. Yeah, M.F.T.K. M.F.T.K stands for Mentors for the Kids, which is my foundation, which gives away book bags, STEM camps, football camps. Basically, we're empowering the community to know that there's more to them than just being entertainers. We want them to be educated. We want them to have access to supplies. We want them to be well-fed. I get food drives through my man, Share the Love with Bert Keaton. Shout out to my dog, Bert. We do a lot of things in the community over the last 3 years. It's grown exponentially. It is one of my pride and joys. I love giving back. I'll be remiss to say that the original statement, the way it originally started was, it's a statement that I have, and if you're around kids consistently, if this hasn't rolled off your tongue, you're not parenting or mentoring the right way. Man, fuck them kids is what M.F.T.K started off standing for. And people used to get on me. And I say, man, I give book bags away. I volunteer a lot in the community. It's a tongue-in-cheek joke. But it's only but every joke has a kernel of truth to it. Nobody says, man, fuck these kids like America consistently. And before I get into the real issue, I'm going to get into the first thing, and it's a Jacksonville, Florida's very own man, fuck them kids. If you know about Detroit, you know about drill rap. And one thing that Jacksonville has made disturbingly popular, in my opinion, is raps about violence and different things that are going on in the community. Um, though clever, is showing how extremely talented these young men are. A dude by the name of Young Ace, I think that Young Ace. Make sure I don't say his name wrong. God, I want you to kill me. Him and his crew made a song called "Who I Smoke," and it was basically about a rapper locally named Fulio. All these guys are getting millions of views, getting money, getting paid. Matter of fact, another rapper from out of Jacksonville had a song that was put in the viral that went viral called the Junebug Challenge, and it's let's see, pull in my carbon bean, knocking lenses off. Beatbox, yeah, beatbox, and then another kid. I like this song. I ain't gonna lie, but "Who Wants Smoke with Me" is fire. That motherfucker's fire right there. But in the "Who I Smoke" song by Young Ace, they lit, and then Fulio's one that kind of went back, and that's going viral too. It didn't go as viral in the beginning, but a lot of people are making memes off of this without realizing that those are real kids in Jacksonville who died. And it's like Papa got shot, such as got shot, blah blah blah. And people made memes, and I'm like, yo, those kids really died. Like these are real news clips. That's fucking sad. But these guys are doing this, and where the era that I come from, we call it snitching on wax. And basically they're all snitching on each other. Now, there's another rapper who talks about who apparently I think it's Queso or Queso. He's said he's in a gang, and all of these things are gang related, and all these guys are basically snitching on each other. And First Amendment protects you up to a certain amount of time, but like what you got to realize is that RICO is a law that guys like me learned about in my neighborhood at a very young age. And one of the things that they get you with RICO is conspiracy. And the thing that a lot of guys that you're seeing right now in the news are with YSL, and that's the rapper man, who's the fruity rapper? Young Thug, and a couple other guys that are involved in that. Unfortunately, Young Thug doesn't have bail, and he's going to be in jail until January of 2023. Him and Gunna, and basically their rap lyrics are what has got them, and it's unfortunate. Matter of fact, what I tell people is 50 Cent has the best quote when he goes on these guys' songs. He says, "These kids yell gang gang." He's like, I don't yell gang gang. I'm not in a gang, man. He starts that off with everyone. And I thought that was, he's like, I need to let them know that I ain't in no gang. Because again, conspiracy is what gets people. But why is the Queso and the Jacksonville connection important? Queso's own father has turned state against him. The bald head dude with the beard has turned, matter of fact, put that picture up. Here's what's scary about this. And I know he listens to this. I love him. I love the old man. I've always admired my father. He's principled. As backward principles, but principled to say the least. Every man has a code, to quote Omar from The Wire. My father's bald-headed with a beard. I'm his son with dreads. I got a beard, but it's not quite the same. If you ask people, I am very much so James Sr. And James Sr. is very much so me. But there is one thing that I truly believe my father would do. I know my mother would do. I would never put either of them in a position to where they have to, on purpose at least. But I do know that my father would never turn state on me. He ain't the greatest dad in the world. He's not going to write a book. He's a much better grandfather than he was a father. But I can go to sleep peacefully knowing my dad ain't gonna snitch on me, especially if my dad's running the streets. My father did a lot to make sure that I understood, that I always understand consequence. My mother also did a very good job of making sure that I understood consequence, positive and negative. That every action, every decision that I make, if directly influences me in my decisions. This guy is a gang banger and has been in jail for a significant amount of time. And instead of doing the right thing, he's trying to lessen his burden by throwing his son under the bus. Like, this is like all was wrong with the world. Be a fucking father to your son. Matter of fact, if you were a father to your son would never be in this position in the first place. But second, if you're doing crimes actively, like, don't try to make it easier on yourself than throw your son under the bus.
The story is pretty tragic. What happened was Queso had a hit. He performed a hit on rival gang on Fulio's friend, and they ran out the back, ran into somebody's house, hold the lady hostage, and I guess during that time got in touch with the father. The father became the getaway driver, then becoming an accessory
to the crime.
Now, just not too long before, I want to say maybe a year or something before that, his other brother and a friend were shot in a vehicle after performing at the Paradise Club, and the father was driving them home, also got shot, took them to the hospital. He later was on the news explaining the story and saying how he wants no retaliation, no more gang involvement. So it's a very sad story altogether. We don't know if he's really the mastermind behind it, but
what he's trying to do right now. But again, at the end of the day, this is what happened. And I can respect this if this is what the father did. Your son gets in trouble. You tell him, fuck you. You're on your own. I ain't going back to jail. I can understand that. But you literally knew what happened, scooped up your kid, and became an accessory after the fact, no matter what, to a homicide and a kidnapping or an abduction. You knew as an adult fully well what you were getting into. And instead of owning up to it and doing what free game by big game, you got a better chance if everybody shuts the fuck up.
Right.
What happens though is that, as the old heads in my neighborhood used to say, you learn how hard and what a man is really made of when they hit you with them goddamn Buck Rogers years. Man, what people don't know, Buck Rogers used to be a show, and it was so far in the future, or it would have felt like so far in the future that you couldn't even comprehend. And that's what they slap you with these RICO charges and with all these, some of these things. They hit you with 40, 50, 60 years. And you think we're going to have flying cars by the time you get out, if you're able to last. But here's the end all be all. Everybody you get paperwork, right? When you snitch. You get paperwork if you go to jail in general. Now, your paperwork is going to be that you snitched on your own kid. I don't know how comfortable your life going to be, bro. I'm just sorry, man. At a certain point, you got to have a code. And this is, again, when I say M.F.T.K, ain't nothing more M.F.T.K than this. This man basically snitched. Like, this is, I can imagine the scene. And this is what's funny. So I posted this on Facebook, and I saw the meme somewhere else. But it was a meme from First 48. Dude had a bucket of KFC. I think it was French fries by the side case of the KFC, and a Hawaiian punch. I knew he was snitching. That the ice cold Hawaiian punch, the red fruit punch flavor, ooh, boy, it hits you. That shit's delicious. That shit tastes like freedom. I ain't gonna lie to you. It tastes just like freedom. And that's what his dad probably had, a bucket of chicken and some ice cold fruit punch. And that's all it took to get that man to snitch on his kid. Again, men, be a father to your kids. Which leads me to, again, my 8 o'clock brought to you by Green Acres Sporting Goods. Right now, you got to get self-defense, man, in today's climate. We got, I think every person needs to have a concealed carry license. They do.
Yep.
That we're going to try to put together. Shout out to, I think all black, all African American, all anybody should definitely exercise your Second Amendment right. I'm all for it. This Taurus 380 is perfect for anybody in particular. It's a lot of petite males out here in life. Y'all don't need no Glocks. Y'all motherfuckers need that 380. That 380 got enough kick to stop somebody. But for women, that's that look, again, like I always joke, like that Delta that Plaza was talking about that went to Howard, that little bitch got some power. 9mm and a pump shotgun. That's really your best line for defense. They got bullets. They got all of these different things. They got any kind of weapon that you want. Right now, they got the Taurus. They got a Canik. They also got Rugers. All of them $299. If you go there after your background check and a bunch of other stuff, if you don't have your concealed carry, probably walk out about $350, $400 with some bullets because they're not going. What's the purpose of buying a gun if you ain't got no goddamn bullets? Like, makes no sense. But my father and my mother, as I said, taught me about consequence. I didn't have a relationship growing up with my father like that. I always admired him though, because now as I got older, I understood. I saw the flaws, but then I became a man and became a dad myself, and I became a lot more forgiving. But the stories of my godfathers and the people who knew my father running around Tallahassee were epic shit. Like dad getting in fights with police officers, dad beating up people. My mom telling this story about somebody calling her fat when they were driving, and my dad parking the car and beating the shit out of this dude and slamming him up on the hood of the car and making this guy apologize to my mother. My father, when my aunt telling me about my father when my mother was pregnant with me, walking from I forgot the name of the dorm they were in at FAMU. But anyways, walking from the dorm to Popeyes and getting the food and, going grocery shopping, walking miles for my mother. Now, my father's batshit crazy too, but he was batshit crazy before my mother. I'll admit that. I think even my mom will admit that. Things don't work out. They had shit to do with me. They had shit to do with adults. He ain't make the best decisions, but he made the best decisions that he knew was best with him. My father probably should have been hugged a couple more times when he was a kid. That being said, my father is a Marine. My father is an expert marksman. My father has been in multiple shootouts in his life. And a lot of the advice that my father gave me, really starting, I want to say about probably 2009, it's just fucking random. To this day, my father picks up the phone and will call me and say shit like, "Hey, son, listen, I'm just thinking about this. Hey, if you're ever in an area and you got to kill somebody, make sure there's no witnesses because you got to kill everybody. All right, son, love you. I'll talk to you later." And I was thinking, like, why the fuck would I need this advice? Hey, son, listen, always make sure you have a burner weapon and then you have your main weapon. In the car, make sure it's a cheap gun that's kept clean because if you shoot somebody, they're gonna take your pistol. All right, son. Tell my grandsons I love them. I'll talk to y'all later. Hey, son, if anything ever happens to me, your sister knows where all the guns are. Talk to your Uncle Clay. Clay will tell you that these are the guns that don't have no serial numbers on them. If you gotta kill somebody, use them. If you gotta do, I'm like, why the fuck are you telling me this shit? In my 30s now, like I've gone this long in my life from the hood without having to be in these situations, right? Fast forward to the last few years. And really, if I look over the course of my life, I've lived through Columbine. I had just started high school when Columbine happened. Lived through 9/11. I've been a father since Sandy Hook. Well, I mean a father before that, but like Sandy Hook. And we saw the Buffalo shooting last week. And we just saw the shooting that happened in Texas. And I don't know if my father, like, for me to say that I understand my father and he makes sense, I want you to understand how fucking crazy the world is. For me to say, yo, senior's making sense. Because I never thought, and I'm a carrier. We are. I'm a firm believer in 2A, but I never believed that I would just need to honestly always have something on me, especially if I'm not in areas or I'm not doing anything where I don't need to have things on me. Now, anything can happen. You can get robbed. Shit happens. That's why you have self-defense. But like, I should not have to worry about going to a grocery store and buying fucking milk if I need to have my 9 on my hip. I shouldn't have to worry about, is somebody at my son's school holding, because somebody's going to come up there and terrorize my jits. I should not have to worry about, if I want to go to, now I don't go, but if I go to church, is Jesus really going to make sure no weapon formed against me is going to prosper? It's not, you're not free if you have to fear everywhere you go. You're a slave to fear, whether you believe the gun is empowering or not. Because the gun is nothing more than a tool. It's the person that's wielding that tool is what the situation. So if you're a coward before you have the gun, you're going to be a coward with the fucking gun. And I say all these things to say it's sad. A sad situation happened yesterday where I believe the death toll is up to 19. 2 teachers, 17 students. 17 students the same age as my son. That went to school when they're about to go on vacation. Those parents dropped those kids off with the understanding that they were going to see them with smiles. They were going to learn about what the fuck they learned at school that day. And the sad part is, I do make light and joke about a lot of these irrational fears that people have. As a guy who's actively involved in my son's life, not just like this play shit. Like I sit in classes. I read books to these other badass motherfucking kids. I coach. I give teachers assistance for when the other kids don't have. I've seen these guys teach. And for people to talk about they fear their kid is going to basically catch the fucking gay. And because a couple teachers maybe in Florida may be fucking gay. And they may offhand bring up on a Monday about what we did on the weekend, and I went kayaking with my husband. And your kid may ask a question because Mr. Johnson, it's not normal for another person to have a husband. And he just briefly explains it. He's not teaching. He's explaining some shit. For you to feel like that's necessary for my tax dollars to go to that. For you to feel like CRT, which isn't fucking taught in schools, is ruining your kid. For you to feel all of these things that aren't real threats to your child. You're worried about everything except for what the fucking threat is to your goddamn child. You would think that's the real threat, the real scary shit. Not shit that I can control as a dad, man. I control what my kids learn. I control that shit. At the end of the day, the buck stops with me, the parent. What I can't control, though, is if your dumbass kid that you've neglected decides that they want to arm themselves to a fucking T and go shoot up a goddamn school, shoot up a goddamn grocery store. And then you know what, the same people who have these arguments about, I don't want my kid learning this from the government. I don't want my kid learning this. You know what you're okay with? Your kid learning conflict resolution from the goddamn government. Instead of you being a fucking parent, man. How about that? Let's try that for a second. And then the same teachers that you're afraid are going to impose their lifestyles on the kids, you're suggesting that they get armed? So on one hand, you're afraid of the teacher letting your kid catch the gay, but the same gay teacher that you're intimidated by, you want to defend your child. As opposed to just creating a safer environment. This young man, and then the spins. Yes, mental health is a real issue. I deal with depression myself. Shit like this fucking drives me insane. Did not sleep. Going off of 3.5 hours of sleep. I tried to force myself to sleep. Because my kid got 3 more days in school, man. And I had to figure out as a father, what is the most responsible thing for me to do? To snatch away my child's opportunity to have a fun week in school with his friends that he might not get a chance to see again because he'll be in a different classroom because of the fact that some of y'all have neglected your kids for so long that you're deciding that they can decide to go kill my motherfucking son. Or do I keep him home so where I know he's safe? See, some of us who've actually lived and have been through things understand stuff with nuance and different things like that. I make entirely too much fucking money for me to have to be worrying about if my kid's going to be safe. We don't live in the hood. So miss me with the Chicago talk. Miss me with the neighbor because motherfucker, last time I checked, I'm the one in the hood giving out book bags, not you. I actually feel safer sometimes there than I do what's going on now. But I should not have to worry about those things. And the problem is you can't even have common sense fucking legislation talk without somebody trying to politicize this bullshit. The reality is this: 18-year-olds don't need to have AR-15s. And I'm not saying AR-15 should be banned. I absolutely love shooting them. But I'm going to be honest with you. I just like shooting it. There is no purpose for it. You could for hunting. Have you seen what this shit does to flesh? You won't even be able to eat the meat. It fucks shit up. I'm gonna describe this to you. What the scene was for these parents who had to realize their kids are dead. How the parents found out that their kids were dead is that they were left. The parents that were left, they realized that their kids weren't coming home. That's sad in of itself. The next step was they had to identify body parts because what that shit does to a little kid is it rips through limbs. It rips through bones. You got to go identify your child through bloodshed and carnage. And then there was some who had it worse than that. The motherfuckers had to do DNA swabs because they couldn't identify the children. Imagine not knowing what is your child's body part until they can do the DNA testing in the laboratory and bring it back and let you know that that was legit. And the last thing you said to your kid was, "Have a good day, sweetie. I'll see you back home." And miss me with the good guy with a gun shit. This kid was armed. This kid had, fuck that. The gunman was armed. The gunman had body armor. And the gunman went through police. He overpowered the police. He overpowered the good guys with guns. That's the type of shit that can make you go crazy as a father, as a mother, as anybody. Mostly Hispanic kids. The kid was Hispanic that did it, allegedly. Um, it's it's tough to even talk about, man, because who wants to talk about bloodshed like that consistently? Just in the past year, this is what we've had debates about. I can't see my kid smile when he wears a mask. A parent can't see their kid smile because somebody walked in with a gun. And we can't have legit debate. And I even agree with you with the mask thing a little bit. 1 million people died of COVID, so it's real. I almost died of that shit. But I get it. LGBTQBC, the consonants, whatever you want to call it, it's a new one added. I don't want my kid being taught of this, that, and the other. But they ain't killed nobody. We can't get kids health care. We got abortion rights. Shit that doesn't really truly affect these guys. Like we want to force people to have kids, but we don't want to protect the kids once they get here. And it's all about common sense shit. And again, I advertise with guns, man. I love guns. They're amazing. But guns in the wrong, and people say shit like guns don't kill people, people kill people. And you're right, but obviously there's some CRT, like all this shit. What is making 18-year-old boys so upset that they decided they got to go kill people? Because I tell you this much. I know what can happen and what can change it. Because the wild part is all these guns were obtained legally, not illegal, legally. Now, I'll give Florida his props for this because you got to be 21 to get an AR-15 here. I learned that. I think that's dope. I think that makes more sense. You got to be 21 to own a handgun. But if we prosecuted everyone, and you'll learn about this if you take the concealed carry class with Green Acres. That guy who teaches that class, I promise you, I'm not embellishing it because they advertise with it. That man taught me the responsibility of having a gun, almost like my father does. That gun, whether in my possession or not, I am responsible for. Every bullet in that bitch, I'm responsible for. If people would go, if the parents knew that they were responsible for them fucking gun, for them bullets, and you prosecuted the parents, I bet you'll see a lot more act right. I bet you'll see a lot more act right. If I knew that if my kid did something really foolish like this, and there was the potential that I was going to be prosecuted if I somehow knew what was going on, I bet you'll see better parenting, more involved parenting. Because both of these guys had social media posts. The kid in Buffalo had a manifesto. And people talked about this kid, Ruiz, was bullied, right? Missed me with it. He was poor. He was bullied because he was poor. This boy had $1,800 worth of weaponry. I grew up poor. Free lunch kid. I ain't had $1,800 to my name when I was 18 years old. I don't think we had $1,800 through the house. Like, if we being real. Picked on's part of life. I got a big head. Actually, growing up, especially growing up, big head. I got a big ass birthmark on my left leg, and I got a long middle toe. So I was actually intimidated to wear sandals until recently. Call me ET growing up. And I couldn't wear the skies out, thighs out shit that everybody doing right now. I didn't have the confidence to have all this stuff. All that shit that I had to manage without having a father in the house. I had a mother, though, who really made sure that my confidence level was high. And I fought a lot. But I think everybody in my neighborhood fought. I never decided to go out and kill people. We do need better conflict resolution. We do need mental health. But we also need to make examples of people. Because right now, this kid is dead. This kid killed himself. Suicide. But now there's a lot of lives that are changed right now for the worse. And that kid woke up and killed his grandmother first, which makes me know he's a piece of shit. to kill Meemaw, you got to be a terrible person. But at a certain point, as a guy who did grow up in the inner city, who grew up around gangs, the rhetoric scares me a little bit because I hear how you guys talk about Republicans. I hear how you talk about Democrats. And you don't talk about each other as humans. You don't talk about each other as fathers, as mothers. You talk about each other as brothers, as sisters. You talk about each other as ops. And then you wonder where these kids get this shit from. I never understood why this, like, I see it in sports debates all the time. You go from 0 to I'll kill you in a matter of seconds over something that has little to no impact over your life or your general overall well-being. But you wonder where your kids get that from? You talk about the people who have a different opinion about you, a different opinion than you, as idiots, as less than. This country would be better if everybody thought this way. But yet you wonder why the kids that you raise or the people who look like you or the people who are around you act that way. You love to go into our neighborhoods and talk about where are the fathers. Well, where are the fucking fathers at now? I can say a lot about my dad, but at least my dad was smart enough to make sure his son understood that when you take somebody's life, there's some fucking consequences that have to be dealt with. This ain't a video game. This ain't a movie, dog. The problem is that the retaliation just isn't enough. And here's the thing, the congressmen and women, all that thoughts and prayers shit. I'm here to tell you, thoughts and prayers don't do shit for me. And I've said this to politicians, and I'm gonna end it on a happy note, but I've got friends who are good politicians that I've told this to. Something happens to my son, I don't want your goddamn thoughts and prayers. Just put something on my books. Something happens to me, I don't want peace. I want vengeance. Because I'll tell you this, the only moral compass I have are my kids. I don't know how these parents are going to deal with what they deal with. I don't know how the people who deal with Columbine, who I saw some tweets that their kids are actually in high school now, some of them. I don't know how to deal with that. I don't know how to deal with these politicians that y'all put in the front. Guys like Herschel Walker, who I respect as a running back, who's dumb as a box of fucking rocks. Yep. Who says, this was his quote, and he's the Republican candidate that will probably win. What I like to do is see it, everything and stuff. The same guy who basically says that if you get forcefully raped, you got to have the baby. You want me to believe that you actually give a fuck about my kid? I don't know, man. I don't really have no answers, but I do know life is bigger than sports. And I try to raise my kids the right way. I'm not perfect by any means. I don't have a manual. But I do know right is right and wrong is wrong. And I do know what I learned in civics when I was in 9th grade. The first thing they taught us is that my rights end where yours begins. We are not, we don't live in a free nation. Nobody is free of consequence. The minute somebody enters a room, your freedoms have been restricted because you don't have free reign over that other person. We have to learn to do what's best for all of us. And that's what true freedom is. Or at least being an adult. Everything else is a temper tantrum of a child. But I do remember this. California has some of the strictest gun laws. But a lot of that started with Reagan. And it all started when the Black Panthers armed themselves legally and did just protest. And then they said things like, nobody needs to carry a rifle. That was rhetoric that used to be used. AR-15s were very difficult to get in the 90s. They're not now. Again, I'm all for gun ownership. Love guns. I think every American should own one. But I also think that there needs, to use Uncle Ben, with great power comes great responsibility. And I think somewhere down the line, people have forgotten that responsible gun ownership is freedom. And if you can't be responsible with it and you don't know what to do, then your freedom deserves, just like everything else, your freedoms deserve to be taken away. On that note, positive stuff is like, shout out to my son's godfather, Terrence Freeman. He is the president-elect of the city council. That means he'll be the second most powerful man in Jacksonville. And I get to do a little emceeing of that event. So, yeah, I'm going to be dapper than a motherfucker with some clean-ass tennis shoes. And I'm probably going to offend some people, but that's what I do best. But at the end of the day, there are good politicians out there. The good politicians, man, it's time to show it. It's time to stop talking about this shit. The good people, it's time to stop hiding behind your game and get some change, because that's really the only way we're going to be able to deal with this shit, because this shit is heavy, man. It's tough, man. Hope new people like the show. Again, each show I'm doing this for until I can't do it no more. $100 if we get over 1,000 views on Periscope, which is the Twitter. If we get 1,000 views on the Facebook page or the YouTube. If we get over 1,000 on the SoundCloud, that'd be dope as well. And anytime if we do get to where I see that right now that I says 12, if that I ever has 3 digits, I'm giving out $100 on site on the air. So if you like this, please tell a friend. We'll be on Friday, roughly between 11:30 and 12 o'clock. We're on 3 days a week. Den Media Group. Check us out on the YouTube. Den Media Group, Big Games BS. Facebook Sports, the Sports Den. Twitter at sportsden_live and IG. A lot of people have been really liking the reels and like some of the hot takes. You might not like it, but it's been getting good views. So we appreciate that, guys. Thank everybody for hanging out with me, man. Please, again, encourage people to join the movement and the conversation. If there's some things that you want to know about sports and life, love to talk to you guys about it. On that note, y'all have a great hump day. Show somebody a little hump on this hump day. Y'all be blessed.